Okay, using the quick access toolbar and the ribbon menu, so that will be our topic for today. Well, Excel's menu system at the top of the screen consists of a series of tabs: home, insert, page, layout, and so on. So, and below that, a bunch of icons, and sometimes we call these commands too. The entire menu system is referred to as the ribbon, as you can see here. And actually, a part of it, although sometimes we think of it as being somewhat isolated, above this is something called the quick access toolbar. At the moment, it's quite small, and we'll talk about that in a bit. As you work with Excel, you will need these buttons often. And now you certainly don't need every one of them. Some of these you'll probably never use. And the home tab here is likely to be present on your screen uh, much of the time. And as we work with data, there's bold, italic, lots of buttons in here. And as I click insert, we'll see a whole new series of buttons. And uh, in some of these, you can just see by the names of what they involve. So we have here pivot tables. These chart icons here, sometimes called spark filters. So we have lots of choices really. We have here page layout, as the name suggests. Perhaps it suggests printing and getting the document ready for printing. Now, and formulas for the next tab. And has, of course, it's got a lot to do with the formulas and how we use them and track down by way of auditing. We have built-in functions. There are hundreds, really, of them in Excel, as referred to on these various buttons in here. And many of you probably will be using this a lot. Now we have the data tab, and many of these um, we actually the data tab has got a lot to do with the data management tools, for most of which is sorting, and a lot of people will be doing filtering as well. There are some other tools over here, like an exciting feature called flash fill, so another one for getting rid of duplicates, so that kind of thing. And we also have here adding subtotals. The review tab, as the name suggests, for example, we have to conduct some spelling check in that case. And we also can protect worksheets, protect workbooks if you wish to. Now, there's a view tab here, just next to it. Um, and this really shows how we change the way we see the data. And we have this theme tab, which you might or might not use, but let's ignore that for the moment. And then lastly, we have an expanded help system showing lots of opportunities for tracking down information on something that you need to know. Okay. The one tab here that's quite a bit different from the others is the File tab. This takes us into what Microsoft calls as the Backstage View. It has more to do with the externals, really. So, how we open and close and save the files. You also notice that print is in here as well too. And as you make choices here, of course, this screen will change. Um, Up here, and then if you want to go back into the standard display of Excel, we either press escape or this leftward arrow at the top of the screen. So the quick access toolbar uh, up here is designed for you to modify as you wish. So it's got these buttons in it. Initially, we have the save, the undo, and then the redo. But the idea is for certain buttons to uh, that you might use often, so that you don't have to go to a particular tab to find them. You can also make a copy of them and put them on the quick access toolbar. So for example, I'm going to click insert in here. Suppose I work with pivot tables a lot and I want that button on the screen here all the time. I don't have one, so I have to go to the insert tab necessarily to get it. So I'll simply right click on a pivot table here, and you can do this with any button here. Right click and add it to the quick access toolbar. So the next time I'm working with my data, I might be on the home tab um, doing some formatting there. I might be on the data tab doing some sorting. And then if I want to get a pivot table, it's right there. It's always going to be there. And you'll find that you'll want to place certain other buttons up in here as well too. And if at a later time you find that you'll want to place certain buttons up there as well too, um, you can certainly right click. I mean, if you find at a later time that you don't need it, you can right click it and remove it. So that's going to be very handy as you work with Excel. So once again, we recognize that these are powerful set of features in here, and we refer to this as ribbon, the tabs on top of icons. And you'll be using many of this, particularly on the home tab. Now we have the so-called shortcut menus also and the mini toolbar, which we will discuss shortly. Now, because Excel has so many command buttons in the ribbon menu system, at times you cannot find the command. You're not sure which tab to click and then say, hey, where's that button again that I need? So what's really helpful is what we call the shortcut menu. At any time in Excel, when you use the right mouse button, so for example here, you get a pop-up menu, and sometimes you'll also get what's called a mini toolbar. Now I might want a new row between rows 5 and 6 here. So I'm not sure where to find this. I think I can use the term insert in here. So imagine that little scenario. You can go to the insert tab up on the ribbon and you're gonna look around here and see what you need that applies to your situation or your scenario, and end up not finding what you want because it's not there. So how am I supposed to know that? So what I'm going to do, uh, and in here too, maybe it's guesswork, but I'm going to right click on row 6. So this is the actual number in here, and I'm going to right click. And what pops up there is an abbreviated list of commands taken from the main menus. They're not necessarily all from Home tab, so um, there are some different choices in here. Okay. um, Microsoft has Microsoft has programmed this feature to bring up only the commands that most users are likely to need at this point. And right above it is what we call the mini toolbar. Um, Now I don't need to do any formatting right now, but if I wanted to make all those cells bold or italic, I can do it right here. I don't have to go up the top menu anywhere, so I just did that. Okay. And I'll right click again on row 6 and I think it's insert, right? And this will push all the data down. Now I want to insert a new row and that happens. Now the right mouse button is context sensitive. If I highlight some cells here, maybe this one here, um, and right click, we're going to see the mini toolbar there. And certainly some of these commands we saw before are there, but there's some others as well that weren't seen in the earlier sessions on, right? So it's a slightly different list of commands, so it's context sensitive in that case. And although maybe it's premature for some of you, you haven't worked with Excel just yet. If I go to one of the sheet tabs at the bottom and right click on one of them here, as you can see, that's a completely different set of features related to worksheets within an Excel workbook. Now, where we can add new ones, you can see some of them, the terms, and probably guess what it means. So that right mouse button there is really handy. Yeah? Not only for the commands that it offers you, but when it comes time for formatting, that mini toolbar just puts those buttons close to where the action is. So if I right click a column at the top of the screen, so for example, I right click at column E, we would expect to see insert here just as we did on a row. And we see some similar commands like we saw before, but this time insert would mean insert a new column. Now I don't want to do that here, but if I did, that's where I would go. Now many commands in Excel are like this, in that you don't really have to go into the menu system. You can use the right mouse button, and even if you right click one of the buttons that we see up the ribbon, here's one there. If I right click this, there are some choices. And turns out I don't want to do any of these right now, but once again, that's the same basic idea. Use the right mouse button, brings up a shortcut menu. And I think you'll find it absolutely important as you work with Excel to be using that many times. So you just can't remember all those commands and where to find them. So it becomes really important as you work with Excel.